This is Andre Touchy Feely. You're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. Let's get weird.
This is the Shark, Anthony Avila. You're listening to Verbal Scrap.
This is Justin the Raw Deal Basement. You're listening to Verbal Scrap.
This is Nan Fan, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. I'm a fighter. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to fight.
Hey, this is Dave Hirschbein, MMA Gold, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap.
I've worked so hard to do what I got to do in here. I took so much blood for this sport. I took so much pain, everything for this sport.
Hey, y'all, this is Zeke Johnston. You're listening to SRMMA.com Verbal Scrap. Stay tuned. They got some good stuff coming up.
You are on the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. We are in studio with your host, and that is moi, Jaywa, and co-host Tro. How you doing today, sir?
Good to be back riding shotgun.
Shotgun in the award ceremony that will be our show. We are going to be awarding out our judgments of UFC 161 and UFC 162 coming up with Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman. We are presented by MMAGold.com, full service fighter management and apparel company. Check them out at MMA Gold. All the money that comes in from their gear goes right back into the fighters. So if you want to check out some of their gear, check out the store while you're there on the website. And remember, MMA Gold is bringing you episode 45, Verbal Scrap Podcast. I wanted to ask you, sir, let's get into some of the main topics we'll be talking about. UFC 162, 161. We covered War MMA, the Nick Diaz inaugural promotion with Justin the Raw Deal Basement and Daniel Roberts in the main event of the evening. We got all that coverage and more. We're here presented by SRMA.com. If you're checking out SRMA.com right now, you'll be able to see some of our top news, including the War MMA coverage, as well as some of our knockouts of the week. You got to give a shout out to James Spear for getting that knockout, by the way. Some of our top shots from all of our photographers, some preview of World Combat Series that was going on. You also get some WFC news. We got so much, but first, UFC 162. For all you guys that don't know, July 6th, Anderson Silva going to be defending his title against Chris Weidman. Let's take a listen to the preview before we get into more.
He's hungry, confident, the kid's a beast.
He is the perfect man to defeat Anderson Silva.
I believe Chris Weidman will be the next middleweight champion.
Standing guillotine out. Yep. Still undefeated, Chris Weidman. The pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet.
You know, Anderson Silva, he's my favorite fighter to watch. But I don't know.
Is Anderson Silva your favorite fighter to watch, Shro?
Excellent question. Wish you didn't catch me off guard, but I'll just say yes.
That's a good answer to an off-guard question. So let's not get into too much more than the question at hand. UFC 162. What do you think about Weidman's push, the way he went about trying to get this matchup? You know, he was definitely anyone ready to listen. He was saying, you know, I deserve an opportunity and I think I can beat him. What do you think about the way he went about getting this matchup?
Well, I think Chris has been intelligent about it too. He hasn't jumped head first, so to speak, and I think he's definitely ready, and a lot of other people tend to agree. On that promo video, you guys heard Gray Maynard, obviously you heard Joe Rogan, you heard several others, and at the end you heard Rashad Evans. It's just Anderson Silva, though, so it's with this much hype for Chris Weidman, it seems to be a lot of pressure on him right now, and I haven't seen any interviews with him. Have you? Is Weidman?
I mean, I haven't seen any.
Is he looking pretty grounded?
Everyone seems confident when they go against Anderson. You at least got to tell yourself that. If you're going to fight the best guy in the world, you better feel like you are the best guy in the world. So I don't expect anyone going to fight him saying anything other than all the things they feel 100% confident in. But my thought is that it does feel kind of weird that Anderson Silva's fighting, and it's not like it's the biggest event in the world. It seems like, man, Anderson Silva's just it seems like it's got that aura to where the more it happens, you're just kind of used to it, so it's not as big a deal, but it's definitely still a big fight.
Well, think about what we've seen from Anderson in past fights, and specifically really recent past fights, where he openly says that whoever he's fighting, this is what he's good at, this is what I need to avoid, and then when he gets into a ring, he puts himself into that situation. I don't think he's going to do that with Chris Weidman. He's going to be like, this is what Chris Weidman's good at. This is what I need to avoid. He's going to get in the ring, and he's actually going to avoid all that. He's not going to, quote, pussyfoot around with Weidman.
Well, also, UFC 161, we didn't need an opportunity to talk about it in the last podcast. Evans versus Henderson. For you guys that didn't get a chance to see that, or you don't know what's going on, the highlights of Evans getting his split decision over Henderson, we'll play that, and then we'll talk more.
the main event, Rashad Evans and Dan Henderson both trying to get back in the win column and back into the title mix, but it was Sugar who picked up the W. Chael, I want you to take us through the highlights.
Well, we definitely saw a feeling out process. The level of respect that these guys had for each other was pretty clear, and you can see it right in their stance. Dan Henderson came out with a little bit of a low stance, and that's because he feared the wrestling that Rashad talked about. Rashad had a lot of movement because he feared the power. Real early in the fight, guys, Rashad Evans' game plan, which is to take Dan down, goes out the window. And I thought this was the most interesting thing, and the best part of Rashad's performance was how he was able to adjust and go to plan B, which was to actually stand and strike with Dan Henderson.
Yeah, not only did he stand and strike with Dan Henderson, but he was also changing his levels and being offensive with his strikes to his takedowns. He would throw punches to get on the inside, long punches. Once he was on the inside, he was bobbing and weaving, going to takedowns and then coming back up the middle with uppercuts. He also dropped Dan Henderson, as we just saw a second ago, keeping Dan Henderson on his heels. You got to keep Henderson going backwards.
Well, let's take a look at the scorecard. Sugar's win snaps a 2-fight losing streak. His UFC record now 13-3-1. Dan Henderson, his second consecutive loss. UFC record standing now at 6-4.
Now, I have 2 questions for you. Let's make these answers quite quick, Shro. Question number 1. Henderson was, at one point in time, going to fight Jon Jones for the light heavyweight title. Now he's lost to Evans. How far do you think it's going to take him to even get back at being contending for that title?
At his age, I don't think it's going to happen, period. I don't think he has enough time left just as far as aging, because with losing 2 consecutive fights, now you would almost think that he would have to have either one amazing fight where it's just clear, yes, oh my God, he's ready for a title fight, or 2, decisive victories. And then also, then you have to take into the account the timeline of, okay, yeah, is Jon Jones ready to fight after those 1 or 2 fights?
Second question. Evans had 2 losses, but he beats the guy who was at one point in time, not too long ago, going to be fighting Jon Jones for that title. Where do you think that puts Evans back in the mix?
He's got to get in line. There's other people in front of him. And plus, from what I was told, it was a lackluster fight. This summer I've been at freaking weddings the entire time. I've missed.
Stop getting married in the summers, people.
I know, especially when there's fights going on.
No fight days.
So I missed a lot. But from those highlights just now, I mean, it seemed like, I think we were having a conversation that was like Sugar has turned into artificial sweetener Evans.
I didn't know that was going to make it on.
I don't know. I don't know if he's back to being Sugar. He
definitely looked really good.
He still looks like Splenda, but
so right now he's at Splenda for you. He has an opportunity to be at Sugar if he keeps making good moves.
He's got to finish a fight.
I like it. No, I like where you're going, because finishing fights definitely says a lot. You're here on the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. We are definitely going to be talking more about UFC 161, UFC 162 coming up. We got our War MMA coverage. We got a Bellator interview with Doug the Rhino Marshall. He's going to be taking on Alexander Shlemenko soon. We were able to talk to him and Glory 9 heavyweight winner Xavier Vigny of Oakland. World Kickboxing, man. It's definitely taken off. And you know what's crazy? I was next to him for a second while I was interviewing him, and I realized how tiny of a man I am.
Were his calves like as big as your neck?
Well, I saw his head, and I put the mic near it. And I hope that I was able to catch some of his words for you guys to listen to, because it was definitely exciting to get to talk to him, so I appreciate his time. We also wanted to let you guys know, if you're interested in contributing or advertising in any way, you can email info@srmma.com or me directly, jw@srmma.com for more. We got UFC 161 Stipe Miocic and Roy Big Country Nelson. Let's get the highlights.
Well, now let's look at the co-main event. 5th-ranked Roy Big Country Nelson fighting for the second time in 7 weeks as he took on the always dangerous heavyweight prospect Stipe Miocic. Both of these guys were late additions to the card, but stepped up when their numbers were called. Daniel, walk us through the highlights of this fight.
Listen, this was a big fight for Roy Nelson, knowing that, end of his contract and everything, and a lot of pressure. Stipe went out and fought the fight that he needed to fight, used his range, and look, just nice, clean, sharp boxing. Always circled away from Roy's big hand, and by the time Roy started to get the right hand off, he was so exhausted from the punishment that he took that Stipe was already so far out ahead and so much in control that there was not much on it anymore.
All right, well, we're going to take a listen to Roy's corner imploring him to get going between the rounds.
Don't be sloppy. Get your together. You hear me? Hey, get your together. This is not the way you're going to go out. Get your together.
Chael, he didn't quite get it together.
Look, Ken, we always heard the term in fighting, size advantage. But look, let's get this straight. If you're grappling, you want to be the bigger guy. If you're boxing and you're standing on your feet, the smaller guy always has the advantage. Muhammad Ali was 198 pounds in his prime. Mike Tyson was 220 pounds. You always want to be smaller. This is what we saw. We saw a speed advantage, a distinct in and out ability by the smaller guy, Stipe.
Stipe, a very, very fit heavyweight. Let's take a look at the scorecard right there. 1-0 versus ranked opponents now. His UFC record moving to 4-1, and for Roy, that snaps a 3-fight win streak.
Now, what do you think of Nelson's recent knockout victories? You know, he's been able to bank waves, and now seeing those highlights, you know, what do you think about the way he looked against Miocic?
Well, they were hitting the nail on the head, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people were always worried about with the big country. Lack of speed is a killer, and Miocic, he got in there, and those were fast strikes, man. For a heavyweight, those strikes were coming in real quick. And in your title holders nowadays in the heavyweight division, that's what you see more and more: quick striking, in and out, picking your fight, and a lot of movement. So Miocic did exactly what he needed to defeat Nelson. And the problem with Nelson is that he does not have that speed. And I think in the back of my mind, that was always where I wanted to see him get a title shot. But even if he won it, I don't think he would hold on to it for very long because of that lack of speed.
Well, I was interested in the last thing before we move to the next fight. What do you think Nelson really has next in the UFC? He seems like a guy that's kind of a measuring stick for other guys. What do you see next for him? Do you see him actually losing some weight and making another run for it? Where do you see him going?
I don't want him to turn into the Stephan Bonner of his division, where he's just feeding younger talent, more or less a stepping stone. I want to see him sort of get his inner BJ Penn on and just look in the mirror and be like, you know what, I can get a title, and I need to just work harder.
But do you think that weight is going to be a key in that run?
Well, yeah, I suppose, because can the guy lose weight? I mean, I've seen him lose a little, but I don't know.
Not eating helps. I mean, don't you would agree, would you not?
Yeah, let's have him get AIDS. He'll lose a lot of weight on AIDS.
No, that's not where you lose the weight.
Tapeworms?
It's Fresca. Fresca it's got no calories, bro.
Oh, okay, all right.
Let's hear the UFC 161 post-fight presser highlights, and then we'll get into some more.
Push away the whole 185 talk?
Well, I mean, the thing is, 205 is my home, and if an opportunity comes at me at 185, and it's a good opportunity, but for the most part, I feel good at 205, and I can't. It's hard for me to leave 205 weight class. I would love to get a shot at John Jones again. I'd love to get back to where I was and where I can be. As far as going out there and just being spectacular every single fight.
With the whole situation with the contract, where do you see yourself with the next organization?
I go where the fans want me, wherever, Dana and Lorenzo want me to be with the UFC, then I'll be knocking on Cain Velasquez's door, or whoever the champ is, when I'm knocking on it.
I respect Roy. Roy has a great chin, hits hard, has great wrestling, great jiu-jitsu. He was a man about this contract. Like I told you guys the other day, his contract was up in July. We asked for an extension. He said no. He doesn't have to say yes. His contract's up. It's up. We got to get him a fight before the contract's over. We did. He stepped up. He took the fight. And do Roy and I always see eye to eye? No, we don't. But we made an offer to Roy, and we'll sit down and talk to him again after this.
My last question before we move on. Do you hope to see Roy in the UFC, or would you like to see him be in kind of a main event, top-tier guy in other bigger promotions, but still not on the UFC kind of level?
I'd rather see him in the UFC as a fan, because, in my opinion, that means he'll be taking on better talent. If he chooses to go somewhere else, he's going to get a belt.
Definitely going to knock somebody out somewhere.
Yes.
Well, you're here on the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast presented by SRMA.com. We are presented by One Fit Body. If you're out in El Dorado Hills area, you got to check out our boy Ty Silva. He's all up into the massage therapy, strength and conditioning. The guy can do all kinds of gymnastic stuff. If you check out his website, onefitbody.net, you'll see all the crazy things he's got going on there. And they are presenting 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, so check those guys out. We're going to get in now to our Glory Heavyweight Tournament interview with Xavier Vigny. He was able to knock out 3 guys in the first round in one night.
Do you have like something to do?
Yeah, knock him out and win the tournament. That's what he had to do. That's what he came to do. And I see why he did it now, because that guy, if he was not fighting, I'm sure the NBA would love him. Like, he could dunk all. I think he could actually dunk without jumping.
It sounds like he'd get too many technicals, though.
It would be hack Xavier Vigny. That's what it would be. This guy is awesome. But now let's get into some of the Glory coverage and hear what he had to say. This is Jay Watt from SRMA.com. We're talking to Xavier Vigny, who's just recently came off of 3 straight KO victories. I mean, what do you think about what you were able to do recently, the road to glory in the heavyweight tournament? And, before you get into the fights, just the experience overall being involved with those guys.
Yeah, overall it's a great experience. Glory's a really good promotion. They definitely know what they're doing. And same with Extreme Fight Night down there in Tulsa, Dale Cook, Just everyone did a great job, and I would love to. I can't wait to go back and do it all over again.
Well, actually, on the tournament, pulling out the 3 straight victories over quality opponents. Your last one over Maurice Smith. I mean, what did you think about what each of those guys were able to bring your way, and especially considering you were able to finish in the first?
I just watch film on those guys, kind of get a little idea what they're about, and then from there, once you get in the ring, you just gotta use my training and just do what I know how to do best, and that's just try to pick people apart and take them out.
Well, these guys obviously have their own skills, a toolbox full of skills. What do you think is the biggest advantage that you have? Is it just purely size that you feel is the first thing that messes with them, or what do you feel like you usually dominate with?
Well, it's interesting. Actually, this past tournament, all the guys were the same height as me. Jack Mayo, 6'8", Julian Waters, 6'6", Maurice Green, 6'7". They're all well over 250, so everyone was, my size. And it was actually a lot of fun getting to, fight guys who I'm, eye level with. To be honest, I find it easier. But yeah, so in that aspect, I would say, my advantage is just in my boxing during the tournament, not so much size.
Well, last thing about the tournament before I let you go. I mean, a lot of guys are able to get victories. 3 wins in a row is enough to be said in that tournament, but you were able to get finishes. I mean, what do you think that says about your finishing ability, and what people should think of you if they want to take on a guy like you in the future?
Luckily for me during the tournament, all first round knockouts. So, it's good in the tournament format because, going into that final match, I was still fresh, and we fought for like a total of 2 minutes before the final match. So, I was ready to go. And, the key is just, be patient, fight smart, and just, wait for those openings. And, I'm just going to get back in the gym, keep working hard, keep fighting hard. And, I still think I have a ways to go in my development and when it comes to my skill. So, just excited to just keep training hard, keep going.
Well, last thing about fights, I mean, you being a California kid, what do you think about California, becoming the hub that it is for fights and having more fights like War MMA and stuff like that around here?
It's great that, that Nick Diaz is able to put this show together, War Promotions, helps combat sports, grow as a whole, So, if California is going to become, that combat sport, that fighting mecca, that'd be great. So, I'd definitely be looking forward to that.
Well, do you have any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give before we let you go, sir?
Thanks to my team, Team Black, my sponsors. Thank you to DC Solar, Strike First Nutrition. Shout out to Glory, Extreme Fight Nights, and
Well, you can find more coverage at SRMA.com. I want to thank you for your time, Xavier, and wish you best of luck at Glory.
Cool, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
We are back on the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. Thanks again to Xavier, and wish him the best of luck. Anybody that can knock out 3 guys in one night, you can definitely be my friend, and we should hang out whenever I'm in trouble. I'm just saying. That's what I think. We are here going to be talking about Dana White, UFC president, who recently blasted Steve Mazzagatti. A lot of people were talking about it. We're going to play you a little clip before we talk about it.
Does anybody here disagree with me that Mazzagatti is a fucking toolbox? I mean, he literally did nothing. Fitch is out cold. And I saw some people talking shit on the internet today, like, oh, well, BJ Penn held the choke for 5 more seconds, and somebody else, I can't remember who it was, rear naked chokes. If you fucking choke me, hold a rear naked choke for 5 more seconds. This fucking choke? Anybody who's ever done any jiu-jitsu, that thing does fucking damage. It hurts, and a guy's unconscious, and you're squeezing his neck. All this shit right here as hard as you can. You're a fucking idiot to think that a rear naked choke is the exact same as that front choke. And literally, when he goes limp, and he's out. Then he rolls him fucking over, lets his head fucking flop to the thing, and then stands up over him. He's literally like this, standing up over him before Mazzagatti even fucking gets in the picture. The Nevada State Athletic Commission is going to keep this fucking guy around until he seriously hurts somebody.
What do you think about those choice words from UFC president?
They certainly were choice words. That he thought about that, I think,
for a minute or two
before the interview actually started. And I'm sure actually as right when the fight ended, Dana was like, "Oh man, I can't wait to get some cameras in front of me."
And now, have you seen the Fitch Berkman finish?
I have not.
Well, for you fans that have not seen it, you can go to srmma.com and check it out, the video. We'll definitely try and grab it a little bit later in the show for you. But honestly, Berkman has him choked and then lets his body go. Fitch falls to the ground unconscious. Then Mazzagatti steps in. Honestly, Berkman ended the fight.
It was verbatim as Dana described it.
It was basically word for word what he had going on. But here's my last question before I move to the next segment. What do you think about the UFC president? His position, a person in his position, making these comments about Steve, and also it being an accumulation of him not liking him for quite some time.
I think it's perfectly fine, and Dana is the type of personality that no one should expect different from him. Dana does not hold back. If something happens that he does not enjoy, whether it's a fighter, whether it's a referee, whether it's Joe Rogan, Mike Goldberg, whoever is in his organization, if you mess up in his eyes, he's going to let you know, but he's going to let you know in a way that everyone else knows also.
Well, I wanted to ask you before we moved on, what do you think personally about what you've seen of some of the referees making the bad calls, and do you think the Athletic Commission should be so quick to just cut particular referees if they all? You have to take into account they have kind of gone through the hoops to get that. So how strict do you think the commission should be on referees that do kind of make bad choices?
I think it should be unbelievably strict because people's lives and people's bodies are on the line doing this sport. It's a full contact sport. I mean, this is something that these refs are paid a lot for a reason. They have to be good at what they're doing. They have to. There can't be any middle ground where it's like, he's got some good calls, some bad calls.
He's a 50-50 guy.
He really,
Hey, that's great in baseball.
That's fantastic, dude.
Dude, if you can hit 500,
all-star. You are making
you can play for the Braves.
So
Go
much
Braves.
bank.
So, you're here on the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. We got a lot coming up. War MMA, Doug the Rhino Marshall. If you're interested in getting involved with SRMMA, you should check out our website. Check out all the news we got going on. If you're interested in the Ring Girls, you should definitely check out our Ring Girls tab. I know it's one of our most highly clicked tabs, so somebody must like them. We definitely feature them from time to time. So if you're looking for more information, you can check out our search bar. You can also translate our website into 60 different languages. If you just peruse down our right sidebar, you'll be able to do that in Latin, Dutch. I can't even tell you the other 58, but I think one of them's English, one of them's Spanish, and you should be good. That's usually what happens to me when I'm on their website. So we're going to be talking a lot more. We got War MMA coming, and I wanted to right now get into the musical feature we were going to be doing. Restrained, the Sacramento band. You're a fan of them, Shro.
I am a big fan of these guys.
Tell us more.
They are located out of Elk Grove, California. They are a hard rock metal band. And these guys have so much ridiculously energy when they're on stage. Unbelievably nice guys. And I believe we're going to play you a little tune now called Some Will Be Saved.
We are back on the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast with your hosts Jay Wah and Shro in studio. How you feeling today, sir? Feeling great?
I'm feeling great because I'm not at a wedding.
And you just ate a bunch of orange chicken before the show, right?
So much orange chicken.
For the fans that don't know, you get your orange chicken from Bel Air?
I do, man. I love them.
Yeah, it's utterly disgusting.
The sizzling
Just
wok.
so you know, when you guys try the chicken, you can determine who you'd rather listen to and who's more intelligent based on the flavor of this chicken. If you go to Bel Air and it's good, you have a problem and you like Shro's opinion more often. But if you realize that it's disgusting,
my delicious,
you're
delicious
most likely
opinion.
a Jay Wah fan yourself. You're here on the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. You just heard Restrained. Give a shout out to those guys. They got a lot of stuff coming up. Find them on Reverb Nation and on Facebook. I wanted to ask you, UFC 162, how, before we get into Joe Rogan talking about what he thinks of Anderson Silva, what do you think about Anderson Silva's greatness in a sentence or two?
Legendary. It's going to be legendary. If there's a fighter to overtake what he has done in the octagon, A, it may be John Jones, and B, then I would never want to fight that guy either.
Ever. Well, let's hear UFC commentator Joe Rogan's thoughts on Anderson Silva.
Physical talent, intelligence, discipline, and great training and trainers all come together and are embodied by one special athlete.
Anderson Silva remains the middleweight champion.
When you consider the fact that mixed martial arts has truly only been around in a modern form since 1993, the amount of progress we've seen from the fighters that competed in UFC 1 to Anderson Silva today is absolutely staggering. And when he gets inside the octagon, you're not just seeing a great fighter, you're seeing the most spectacular example of what's possible.
Do you think that Anderson Silva will always be the guy that people look up to, kind of like an MJ? Or do you think that, you know, we're going to have more guys like a John Jones coming because of the natural progression of the sport?
We're going to have more guys coming, but the Michael Jordan comparison could still apply to him because he's the first.
Mm-hmm.
And the sport is evolving. Everyone is getting better at all of the, the basic three, the boxing, the wrestling, the BJJ. And now people are realizing also that they have to throw in the unorthodox striking. Like that's almost the number 4. If you have those 4 things and you're
top 4.
Yeah, and that's my honest opinion. You can even, like, if you threw out wrestling, which everyone agrees is the base, that's what you need. I say throw that out, but if you're wiry and you've got unorthodox striking, you could still be relevant.
So you would say that there would be, an evolution to where there's a lot more guys that probably come like a LeBron to MJ kind of thing, where it's definitely bigger guys and they're taking over the sport. But do you think that people will have the same aura, the same look at someone like, John Jones is big and everyone thinks he's like the man, but Anderson Silva still has that thing, and until Jones kind of beats him, he still has that thing where it's just like, well, he's number 1 though. He's more favorite. Do you think anybody else can top that invincibility kind of thing?
Because the sport is evolving so quickly, I would say yes. There's that possibility of it. Now, is it going to happen within a decade? I don't know. 5 years? I don't know.
Well, what about this weekend? Let's say Weidman, Anderson Silva. Let's talk just that matchup before we finish the subject. What do you think Weidman actually is going to bring Silva's way and the outcome? What do you got?
That's a great question. And I don't know if I've seen enough of Weidman to actually give him a fair nod. I think if Weidman is wise, he would try and corner Silva pretty quickly, and he's got to move. He's got to move fast, man, because Silva, that's even if you get Silva cornered, it's just we've seen it time and time again where he just corner an animal, strikes really quick, and you fall down and you go to sleep for a while.
Well, if there's one crazy animal that likes to say a lot of things, it's Chael Sonnen. So let's hear his thoughts on the matchup.
11th time against 9-0 Division I All-American wrestler Chris Weidman. Chael, you took on this fighter twice, but I have to ask you, is Chris Weidman Anderson's toughest opponent ever?
Absolutely. Look, there's a reason that Anderson Silva didn't want to do this fight. It wasn't from a lack of popularity. Look, you don't have to look too far to realize Chris Weidman has the exact skill set to beat Anderson Silva, and he's also got it upstairs. He wants his fight. He's been in tough matches. His last fight was a main event where he was an underdog against Mark Munoz. He stepped into those lights. He performed extremely well. He has a better top game, at least submission-wise, than I do, and I was able to have some success for several minutes with Anderson from that position. Weidman's going to get on top. He needs this. He's never tasted defeat, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, again, I go back to your fight and how many rounds you took from Anderson Silva. No one was able to do that. With your wrestling base, you were able to really take care of business against Silva. And I see Chris Weidman doing the same thing. And one little wrinkle that Chris Weidman has is his submission game. A lot of people don't realize this guy has a legit submission game with his guillotine chokes, his Darce attacks, and he's got that great wrestling and conditioning. He's a legitimate threat to Silva.
I'd be willing to venture, and this may be one of the biggest upset picks I'll ever take, but I'm going to say Anderson Silva wins. What do you got, Tro?
So tough just to say that, Silva's going to lose. Like, you
can't. Here's my thing.
No one said that for a really long time.
You pick a winner until they show you they're going to lose. Even when Chael Sonnen, like he said, had his few minutes of success, Silva didn't lose. He didn't lose. He might have been getting beaten, but he didn't lose.
But he didn't lose.
The fight, at the end of the fight, he won.
He's got that W.
So that's the winner. And that's what I think. UFC 162. It's going to be a great matchup happening July 6th. You can catch it on pay-per-view. Also, Frankie Edgar, Charles Oliveira on the card. Mark Munoz, Tim Boetsch on the card, and Cub Swanson versus Dennis Seaver, the spinning German kicking machine. You cannot go wrong watching that man. I don't know if that's his legitimate
German
nickname.
Kicking machine.
But also, for you guys in September that have not heard, Alexander Shlemenko is going to be defending his title against the middleweight tournament winner, Doug the Rhino Marshall, former WEC light heavyweight champion. I had the opportunity to speak to him about the matchup, so let's hear his thoughts. It's Jay Watt from SRMA.com. We're here live at War MMA with Doug the Rhino Marshall. You just got news you're going to be fighting September 7th, Alexander Shlemenko. What do you think about that matchup? He's a highly touted opponent, obviously.
You know what? He's the champion. I watch a lot of his fights. You know what? It's very simple. Doug Marshall is not impressed. You know what? He goes out there, spins around. He doesn't carry a lot of power. He went 3 rounds with Brett Cooper. I decapitated Brett Cooper in 3 minutes, and that's the same thing I'm going to do to him.
Well, what did you think about being the tournament winner? It was a tough pool of guys, and you were able to be the top dog. I mean, what did that mean to you?
It meant the world to me. You know what? In the first fight against Andreas Bang, I was a 4-1 underdog. Knocked him out. The next fight, underdog, won. The finals, Brett Cooper, I was a 2-1 underdog and knocked him out. I'm sure in this fight with Shlemenko, I'm going to probably be a 5-1 underdog. But you know what? Root for the underdog or the under Rhino.
Well, if you're able to come out of this with the victory, you'll be the middleweight champion as well. Bellator's highly respected. I mean, what do you think that'll do for your reputation, obviously, coming back in the MMA ranks and making the name that you are still?
You know what? I think it's just going to boost me up to where I need to be in the limelight. You know what I mean? It needs to be my face plastered all over Bellator, all over the TV, all over everything. You know what? When I step in the cage, I bring the excitement. I'm not there to lay and pray. I'm not there to pity pat. I'm there to put motherfuckers to sleep, and that's how I do it.
Well, last thing before we let you go, this is also going to be the culmination of their Fight Master TV show. A big thing happening for Bellator. What kind of ideal way of this fight going are you looking for? I mean, are you hoping that he brings you something certain, or are you looking to do the same thing that you normally do?
You know what? I always step in there with my mind open, but there's something inside of my brain that says throw the game plan out of the window and knock this guy unconscious, and that's kind of what I try to do. He's a really, really tough guy. You know what? Don't be shocked if you see the Rhino change gears and go to the ground. I really am looking to be the champion. I take my training and mixed martial arts very seriously. My ground game is very underrated. You know what? I got a lot of submissions. I train with some legit guys, but I'm always looking for the fireworks.
Well, Bellator.com, you can find ticket information for September 7th, Shlemenko versus Marshall. I want to thank you for your time and wish you the best of luck, sir.
Of course, man. Thank you very much.
We're back on the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast with your host, Jay Watt and Shro in studio, presented by SRMA.com. If you're interested in getting your writing or photography seen, or you want to work with us, email us at info@SRMA.com. Interested in advertising, maybe donating, you want to help out our cause, maybe we can help out your cause, feel free to email me, jw@SRMA.com directly. And if you want to do anything as far as firing line's concerned, Shro@SRMA.com, SCHROE at SRMA.com. You can shoot him any questions you like for the show. Also, hit us up on Twitter. If you hit us up on Twitter at the hashtag MMA Gold and hashtag SRMA, you're automatically entered for free merchandise from us and from MMA Gold. And like I said, you want to check them out at MMAGold.com. Back here on the 45th episode, we covered War MMA. We're going to get into our coverage now. Riley Prissock, manager of Justin the Raw Deal Baseman, talked to us about the upcoming fight against Roberts and his boy Darren Cooley, who fought Cody Gibson. Let's hear Prissock's thoughts.
It's Jay Watt from SRMA.com. We're here live at the War MMA weigh-ins with Riley Prissock. You were here supporting Justin Baseman and Darren Cooley tonight. First, let's talk about Cooley. What do you think of his matchup? What do you think about where his mind's at right now?
Cooley with Cody Gibson. That's a pretty tough fight. I've seen Cody before in action at Tachi Palace. I know he's out of Doug the Rhino's Marshall's camp, and he's pretty good. But Cooley comes out of a legit camp too, as we know with the Gracies. He trains over there with Nick and Nate, and Cooley's got some skills. So that's a pretty good matchup, man. I think they're meeting at a catch weight at 140. So that should be a good match tomorrow. I can't wait to see that. I think it's going to be a striker versus grappling, but Cooley does have he's developed his hands. He's been working on those lately. So I'm sure he's going to look pretty good. We seen that in the first West Coast fight when he fought Michael Christensen. He used his hands. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Cooley fight tomorrow.
Well, before we get into Baseman Roberts, what do you think about War MMA bringing a new promotion to Stockton? What do you think about what it might be able to do for the city and how many eyes it's bringing?
Oh, dude, that opens up doors for a lot of fighters out in this area within the region. There's only a select few promotions out there, so bringing another one in, especially by Nick Diaz bringing something in, this is huge for not only Stockton but for us in Northern Cal as far as promotions. So I feel it's a really great thing that he's bringing, and it's a positive thing they're putting on Stockton too. Stockton's got such a bad rep, so by them doing this, man, hopefully it turns some of the Stockton negativity around, man. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I can't wait to see the show tomorrow. See what Nick has to say. Obviously, it's going to be a great show, man.
Well, main event of the evening, Justin Baseman, Daniel Roberts. Roberts being a former UFC vet recently. He's got a wealth of submissions on his record. You obviously seen Baseman for quite some time now. I mean, what do you think about this matchup? And I feel like you're pretty excited about it overall.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm ready, man. Justin Baseman against Daniel Roberts. I think the matchup is really good. It's a winnable fight for Justin. We all know that Daniel Roberts is going to come in and try and shoot on Justin, take him down. We know that he's a southpaw. When I've watched from Daniel's fights, man, no disrespect to him, but his punching are more like kind of like, it seems like they're like kind of in a slapping movement. It's not like straight down punches. So if Justin does go to the ground with them and the punches start coming, I'm not worried about Justin getting hurt. But I think Justin's got a real good chance of winning this fight. And if I was to say a percentage, let's say 100%.
And what do you think, Baseman, after this fight, what do you think a Roberts win does for him?
For Baseman, man, that opens up the doors to definitely a bigger show. He's already been offered Bellator. We kind of turned that down, so the only bigger show than that would be the UFC, and that's what we're striving to get to. So I want to say UFC. We're waiting for that call, and I think they'll be calling Justin after this fight.
Well, last thing I wanted to ask you, give the fans an opportunity to learn more about the 5150 Fightwear products that'll be coming out. I know you got a lot of ideas. I see on Facebook all the time you guys got new prototypes and stuff like that. So what do you guys got coming out? What do you guys got out now?
Leo, he normally works on some of the designs. He'll toss some around, but we are working on some stuff. We're getting right now we're in summer, and we're working on some of the winter equipment. We're doing it right now so we can be ready to get you your jacket, so we can get some stuff out there for the guys during the winter. We'll have some stuff coming out soon, and if you don't see it on the website, on the 5150 Fightwear website, you can always go to our Facebook fan page, and you'll see some of the new product that we're putting out there. So yeah, and I just want to say, man, thank you for the support, and I love my shirt when I get my shirt.
Well, I appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to the Baseman Roberts event. It's going to be happening live on stream, pay-per-view. You can check it out online, srmma.com for post-fight coverage. And I want to thank you for your time, as always, 5150fightwear.com's Riley Prissock.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure. And the 0.1 pounds really got me a little disturbed, but it's all good. I guess it's part of the fight game. But thank you, man. Thank you for being there and for all what you guys do, SRMMA, for what you guys do to the sport. You guys are taking it to another level, so we appreciate it.
Daniel the Ninja Roberts was going to be taking on Justin the Raw Deal Baseman. I was able to catch up with him at the War MMA weigh-ins and get his pre-fight thoughts, so let's hear what they are.
It's Jay Watt from SRMA.com. We're here live at the War MMA weigh-ins with Daniel and the Ninja Roberts. You're going to be fighting main event tomorrow night. I mean, how's training and preparation for this?
Oh, it's going good. Training hard as always, and I'm going to be ready.
Well, what do you think about War MMA, being on their first production and it's their main event fight? I mean, it's got to be somewhat of an honor for them to want you to be in that position.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be the main event. And Nick is so popular. It's cool to be on his card. So, yeah, I'll definitely put on a good show.
Well, you've been able to pull out 2 recent victories. Your latest one over Brian Foster. I mean, what do you think you've been able to do well in the past since moving from UFC? And what do you think that this fight will be able to do to get you back there?
Well, my game change is not going to change. I mean, I'm really good at grappling. So, I mean, everybody knows what to expect. I'm looking for the takedown. I'm looking for submission. So, I mean, if the knockout's there, I'll knock them out too. But, I'm really good at jiu-jitsu. So.
Well, I only had 2 more things for you. I mean, one, what do you think a spectacular finish, submission, knockout, whatever you say, on the War MMA card will do for your career, and it being the 3rd win in a row for you?
Well, I'm always looking for finishes, no matter what card I'm fighting on, and I had 3 losses and I had a lot of personal issues, but I'm back on track. If you look up my record, most of my wins is first-round submissions, and I expect nothing different tomorrow.
Well, do you have any thank yous or shout-outs before we let you go, sir?
Well, thanks for all my fans, and thanks for everybody for supporting me, and I'm going to be ready.
Well, you can find post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. I want to thank you for your time, Daniel.
All right, thanks.
If you check out SRMMA.com, you can get all the full results and a little bit of video from the War MMA card. Justin the Raw Deal Baseman was able to overcome some early obstacles that Roberts brought his way, including a deep anaconda choke, to get the split decision. We were able to speak with Baseman after the fight, so let's hear his thoughts.
It's Jay Watt, SRMMA.com. We're here, War MMA, post-fight with the main event winner, Justin the Raw Deal Baseman. It was definitely a tough one. I mean, what did you think about what Daniel Roberts was able to bring your way as compared to what you thought before the fight?
I was getting ready for this fight. Motivation was there like never before. I was training so hard for this fight. And then, it was an honor to fight Roberts. Everybody in Roberts' corner, you've seen them. Melendez, Shields, Vic, some savages, man. So that brought some extra nerves, big fight. So I took it very serious. Trained my ass off. I think I was training like 3-4 times a day, and I just couldn't stop. So getting ready for this fight was major, and I'm glad that it went the way it went. This first round, he came at me hard, but I already knew either he was going to have to break something or put me to sleep. I was not tapping. There was no tapping. So, it went good, man. I'm really happy. So. Well,
in the first round, it looked like you said, the referee was really close to trying to step in and find a reason to stop it. I mean, what was your motivation to keep going? I mean, most guys in that situation, they're being beat, they're being pummeled, and they might give in. What were you thinking down there?
It's so fast. It goes by so fast. You can't remember everything. I don't have tunnel vision like I did the first fight, my very first fight, but you get in that zone and you get in that survival zone, man. And I wasn't worried, I wasn't scared. I didn't think I was in any danger. I knew I was bleeding. I knew I was hurt a little, and I knew he had it in deep. But like I said, there was no way I was tapping. But that was intense, man. That was crazy. First round was pretty wild. I'm glad I survived that shit.
Well, the second round, you were able to pick up the pace. You were able to dominate and put your game plan in. I mean, what did you do round by round to make those changes?
Well, first round, I was thinking, shit, now I got to do something crazy. I got that good slam. I remember that. And I wanted to get a head kick. I feel like an idiot now because in the pre-fight interviews, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to knock him out. I'm fucking so cool. And then after the interview, I was thinking, God, what an idiot. Why'd you do that? I'm not usually like that, but I was fired up for this fight, So I'll talk a little shit, and hey, I backed it up. So what now? But great fight by Daniels, man. It was back and forth for a second. Sometimes the judges, I don't think they like me. Split decision is kind of like, what? But hey, it's all right. I got the W. So.
Well, 2 more quick things for you. It was a split decision. What do you think about the decision? Do you think it was any opportunity that it might not go your way?
No. I felt real confident. I was actually shocked when I heard split decision. I was actually screaming at the judges, what the hell? I didn't see the judges, but if I did, I probably would have mugged one of them. And if I find out who you are, I'm mugging you when I see you. But hey, I try not to leave it to the judges. I really did not want to see the judges at all. I was trying to finish it. I had him in the corner. I came with a little combination with the head kick, but he blocked it. He did great. But yeah, I was trying to kill him. Sorry, Daniels and family. I was trying to take you out. literally.
Well, last thing I wanted to ask you, this is third in a row. You've been able to get a big victory, get a GC belt, and now here at War MMA. I mean, what do you think this one does for you, and knowing that a lot of eyes are going to be watching the War MMA card?
Well, fighting Daniels was huge, a UFC vet, but I was fighting for his ranking. Of course, I was the gatekeeper to the UFC for him. And, he had to win 3 fights, and he'd go back to the UFC. He won 2, and then it was me. And, it usually works like that, but we'll see. Life's a bitch. So we'll see what happens. All I know is I took his ranking, and that's great. Now I'm like 100 and something. That's something to be proud of. So I'm happy about that, I get in here, man. This is one of my favorite training partners in the world right here, Rick Boom Rieger. He'll kill you, so watch out when you're training and fighting with him. But hey, it's guys like this that get me here. It's all the gyms I can go to, my family and friends. I couldn't do it without guys like this. Last time I was at Fight Corps, he tapped me out like 10 times. Don't tell anybody, but he did. You know what I'm saying? He's a monster. So, I'm happy and I'm blessed. Split decision's fine. All I wanted was a W. Everybody's like, Justin, you need some water? What do you need? I'm like, I need a W. That's it. And then I'm going home, man. I need to see Johnny, and then I'm going home.
Well, thanks and shout-outs. What do you got?
Oh, man, shout-outs. I got to leave it up to you again. Come on, Johnny.
Let's see. We got Viselia's MMA gear, 5150, of course. Get some. Liquid Nitro. McKinney trailers. Blood Happens, MMA Gold. Team Priscilla. Bite Me mouth guards, MMA KO. And I am so not with the back one on the bottom. What's the last one?
That's Vision. Is it Vision Printing? And then SR MMA.
Oh, I think.
Oh man, anybody else interviewing me, it's second and third and fourth. I'm telling you, you guys got to listen to Johnny, follow Johnny, get him on Facebook. Hey, this is the man and the crew. The whole crew is the shit. So every time I'm at an event, you guys better be here.
I'll try my best. I promise.
All right.
You can find post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. Thank you so much for talking to us, Justin.
For sure.
You heard Riley Prissock discussing Darren Cooley taking on Cody Gibson. Gibson was victorious, defeating Cooley by TKO at 3:46 of round 3. I was able to catch up with Cody Gibson after the fight, so let's hear his thoughts.
It's Jay Watt from SRMA.com. We're here live at War MMA post-fight with the victorious Cody Gibson. I mean, what'd you think about the fight overall? I mean, a little lackluster towards the end because of your opponent, but obviously you were totally game, landing shots at will. I mean, what'd you think after the fight?
It went according to game plan. He's a real dangerous guy on the ground. Cesar Gracie brown belt. I've seen all of his wins are by submission. I'm confident in my ground game, but why play into his strengths, I have a college wrestling background, so I knew if I could stop him from pulling guard, stop him from taking me down, I felt like I'd have the advantage in the feet, which, it did. He was tough. I hit him with some shots. I think I hurt my wrist or broke something. I don't know how he was standing up. But that knee was I kept seeing him ducking his head, so I just threw a knee right in the middle, caught him flush, and then he was kind of done from there. I don't know. He's upset about the stoppage, but he flopped his back like 6 times in the last round. So, I mean, I know that he was just trying to get it to the ground. I respect all fighters I fight, but, it went well for me, so I'm happy.
Well, like you said, he was ducking a lot. It looked like an uppercut was definitely in the game plan. You landed quite a few. I mean, what'd you think about his ability to take him and your ability to land him?
I don't know. My coaches seem to be pleased with my performance. I'm always the most critical person, Felt like I was a little sloppy on my feet. I definitely didn't have the power in my hook that I could have had. I felt like I was lunging it a little bit, but, I'm coming from a wrestling background. This is only the second or third time I've actually been in a fight where I wanted to stay standing. So it's a good learning experience for me. It helps me grow, as a fighter, knowing that I went 3 rounds almost completely in the stand-up, So as a guy coming from a wrestling background, that's the kind of stuff that helps you grow as a fighter. So.
Well, War MMA, I mean, this is their first event, and a lot of eyes are going to be looking at it. I mean, what do you think about putting on a performance like that, knowing that many, many people are going to be talking about it, and many people have seen it?
Well, yeah, Nick Diaz is actually my favorite fighter. So, I got to meet him. That was cool, And I'm just a big fan of their style, their raw attitude and their aggression. They're down to fight, and scrap when it's time to scrap. So I tried to show that a little bit tonight. So it was a good experience. I love to come back here. They treat the fighters real well too. So I was happy with the experience overall.
Well, do you have any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Yeah, just to my team. We come from a small town in Visalia, California. Elite MMA. Kleber Jiu-Jitsu, Huntington Beach is our affiliate, and King's Muay Thai with Rafael Cordero. We're affiliate schools of both of those schools in Huntington Beach. So we have Doug the Rhino Marshall, our Muay Thai coach, black belt Tom Knox is our Jiu-Jitsu coach, and I kind of do the wrestling. John Wheeler, Elite Strength and Conditioning, is my strength and conditioning coach. He gets me ready for all my fights. So, just thanks all them. My wife, All Pro Science Supplements. So my supplement sponsor, my management, Paradigm Sports Management in Irvine. Great guys out there, and I don't want to keep rambling, so I'm going to let you go.
Well, you can find post coverage at SRMA.com. I want to thank you for your time, Cody, and wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Also on the show, Anthony Tatum was able to pull out a victory. He was able to beat Joey Calbayas by split decision. I was able to speak to him before the fight. We were able to hear his pre-fight thoughts, so let's hear those. And then let's get into some more SRMMA coverage.
It's Jay Watt from SRMMA.com. We're here live at the War MMA weigh-ins. Weigh-ins just finished up not too long ago. We're here with Anthony Tatum. How was weight coming into this, and how was your preparation for this coming fight?
My weight cut went smooth. It was awesome. No problems. Feel good, ready to fight.
What do you think about War MMA as a promotion? It's their first one. Nick Diaz, obviously, having a big name, is going to bring a lot of eyeballs this way. What are you hoping that'll do for you?
I think this is going to be a major breakthrough for my career. War MMA is definitely going to get a lot of media attention, and I'm looking forward to my fight tomorrow. I can't wait.
Well, coming into this, I mean, is there anything you're looking to do specifically in the cage? Have you been working on any specific areas of your game?
I want to say I can tell pretty much what he's got in the first few minutes of the first round of the fight, and then I'll just correct on that. And basically the main goal is to finish the fight in an impressive fashion.
Well, Dethrone Base Camp in Fresno, are you going to have friends, family, teammates here joining you in Stockton?
Yeah, I'm going to have my training partners that I train with on a daily basis coming in to corner me, John Salter, Chris Honeycutt. LeVar, he wasn't able to make it, or my other training buddy George, because they have other affairs they have to tend to, but they stand behind me 100%.
Well, I had a few more things for you. I'm being on War MMA. Is there any pressure that you feel of any kind to perform, or being on a bigger card, does that do anything for a fighter as opposed to being on maybe a lesser known card?
I think a lot of the pressure comes from a fighter having doubts because he hasn't fully prepared for the fight. I've trained very hard for this fight, so I have no doubts.
The last thing I wanted to ask you, everybody wants to get a win, and they're usually happy however they get it, but ideally, how would you hope this fight goes for you, and what are you looking to get out of this?
Of course, I want to knock him out.
Well, you can find post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. I want to give you the opportunity to give thanks and shout-outs before we let you go.
I want to give a shout-out to my best friend, Gabe Sanchez, Cindy Sanchez, my best friend Robert Cardona out of Texas, and they'll be watching it on a live stream. And, tune in, guys. It's going to be an awesome fight.
Well, thank you for your time, sir.
All right, thank you.
Clayton McKinney took on the undefeated Mike Persons, and Clayton McKinney, it was his first fight back since 2009. If you're checking out SRMMA.com now, you can find more information as to his layoff and what it was about. His thoughts coming in. We were able to catch up with him at the weigh-in, so let's hear what he had to say.
This is Jay Watt from SRMMA.com. We're here live at the War MMA weigh-ins with Clayton McKinney. You just weighed in. How was your preparation coming into this fight?
Honestly, man, I can truly say this is the best I've ever felt. Not just saying that. I can actually talk to you right now, and I feel amazing. So, yeah, this is the best weight cut ever. I feel great, man.
Well, your opponent, Mike Persons, he's AOW champion. He's well known for his jiu-jitsu. I mean, what do you think about him as an opponent? What have you been able to see of him?
I don't know much, man. I just see him get TKO'd real quick on The Ultimate Fighter, and then performance that I saw online. So, we'll see, man. I think it'll be a good matchup. And I'm excited to go show what I have stored inside of me for 3.5 years.
Well, that's something I wanted to ask you about. The last fight in 2009. I mean, what brought you back? To want to compete again? Was it the War MMA card?
Never left me, man. The competition never left. I had terrible shoulder surgery. They want to do second surgery. Family problems, having a child, all kinds of stuff. But I'm back, dude. I feel amazing, and this is. It's on.
We'll only have 3 more quick things for you. What do you think about War MMA? This is their first promotion. They're trying to go big. And what do you think about being on the card, on Stockton card, something big for the city, and a lot of fighters locally being involved?
Yeah, I'm stoked to be on this card. War MMA, it looks good, man. The Diaz brothers and their team looked like they did a good job. I'm impressed, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Hopefully they do well and make some money so they can keep putting on shows.
Well, when you think about the amount of attention that a show like this is getting, a lot of people looking this way, what do you think a big finish or a big victory will do for you?
I'm looking. I'm hoping, that this show is getting a little bit of buzz. Some people see my performance tomorrow night and remember what I'm capable of doing. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. My goal is to get back to the UFC, and I think I can do that by the end of the year or this time next year. That's my goal, man. And when I set a goal, I'm pretty damn good at making it happen. So I feel good, man. I can't wait.
Do you have any thank yous or shout outs before we let you go?
Absolutely, man. Sitio Tong, Pasadena, Legends, LA, all my homies back in Florida, my parents, man, and my girlfriend and my awesome, amazing son, Caden, that's 5 months old. And yeah, man, the fans, love you guys. Thanks for sticking around, even though I've been gone for 3 years.
You can find post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. I want to thank you for your time, Clayton.
Thank you, brother.
You've been listening to the 45th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. Got to hear Doug the Rhino Marshall talking Bellator, our War MMA coverage with Justin the Raw Deal Basement post-fight, all the UFC 161 and 162 news. Want to give a big shout out to Xavier Vigny and Marshall for giving me the time, and all the fighters that talk to us. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. And all the fans that share our work. For you guys that are interested, you can always tweet us at Twitter at SRMMA Tweets, on Facebook.com/SRMMA. Sir Shro, I wanted to thank you for your time and give you the opportunity to give one final thought to the MMA community.
I'd just like to say
I like where you're going.
Just like to say that no more weddings coming up for the rest of this summer, thank God. So I'll actually be able to consistently be in Shotgun here again. I know I missed a couple episodes there, and
Key episodes,
and I'm sure they sucked because
you
I
were out
here.
for a few weeks, but we were able to pick up victories. You know, we were able to sustain the schedule.
W's. Yeah, they were split decisions.
They were all split decisions, but they're all W's on the Verbal Scrap Podcast. For you guys that are interested, you can download us on iTunes for free, no charge. Follow us on Spreaker as well, and for all the fans that share and like our work, I want to say thank you very much. For you guys listening now, you are now listening to Silence
of the Lambs.
Okay, then we're going to change that now so that doesn't get put in. Oh, you're now listening to Nothing. Oh, wait, it's Dead Air, huh?
Dead air,
hey, wait, you got to redo it. No, it's Dead Air, man. I did my catchphrase wrong.
Yeah, you totally blew that.
I thought it was Silence, man.
Do it.
Oh, if you're listening to us now, you're listening to Dead Air.
Well, hang on, wait.
You just said do it.
Count
Are we ready?
5, 4, 3.
If you're listening to us now, you're listening to Dead Air.